Hello, everybody. Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw. We had some battle item changes inside Pokemon Unite, so I figured it would be a good time to do a tier list on the battle items. We also had the goal hacker added, so we're going to talk about that today here. It's Monday. On Mondays, we do tier lists, and on Wednesdays, we wear pink. Let's take a look at our tiers here. We have our S tier, really good, sometimes mandatory battle items. We have our A tier, pretty good items. We have our B tier. Yeah, we still got the B tier. Kind of hit me there for a second. We have our B tier. These are fine. They're okay. You can't say they're bad. You can't really say they're great either. We have our C tier. These items are pretty situational, but they're still kind of whatever. And then we have our D tier. They're really situational and they're mostly bad. So, where to begin? You know what? Let me see if I can pull up Unite DB really quick so I can. Oh no, Unite DB doesn't have the exact stats if I remember right. I'll tell you the exact stats of what's changed with the items. So, the buffed battle items are. I'll just put them on the board here. Goal Getter was buffed. Slow Smoke was buffed. And one other was buffed. Fluffy Tail. So these were all buffed. And then nerfed was Eject Button and X Attack, interestingly enough. You would think maybe X Speed if you're going to be nerfing battle items, but it was Eject Button and X Attack. So the buffs. Goal Getter got a 15-second cooldown reduction from 75 to 60. Slow Smoke from 40 seconds to 35. Fluffy Tail from 25 to 22. I mean, it's just like right in there. Nerfed items, Eject Button went from 75 seconds to 80. And X Attack's duration got a half-second cut off of it here. So where do we go from here? Oh, we got a person spamming. Hey, thanks for spamming, buddy. So where do we go from here? We could talk, I guess, a little bit about these items, where they were and where maybe I think they are now. Eject Button is an S tier item, and 5 seconds on it doesn't change. There are certain Pokemon that really have to run this item no matter what. I think the big thing with Eject Button is that certain moves can be redirected with it, and there is nothing in the game that does something similar, right? So because Eject can redirect your Blastoise Unite move and your Overheat and on and on and on. Like, there are just so many Pokemon that not running Eject Button on feels like punishment. In fact, I think we should just have what the Chinese version has, where every Pokemon has Eject, and then you have something else. Like, that would be much more reasonable, so then we could actually see a like wider diversity of items. I do think one of the biggest problems with Eject Button is that it's so unbelievably good. Because, like, just give everybody Eject then, you know? And then we can move on from there. We've got X Attack. X Attack already was kind of either B or C, honestly. The thing about X Attack is, in the right situations, you pop X Attack and it's going to give you enough of a burst to win a fight, but there weren't like a ton of Pokemon that were crushing with it already. Its win rate was pretty good on a few Pokemon, but in general, I don't think it was that good of an item. I think it was outclassed by the other options for it, but they nerfed it too. So I honestly think keeping it in C, like situational, meh, is fine. It's like, it's very situational. There are a few Pokemon that you might run it on, and those Pokemon, it's good. It's all right. It's like, this is like B or C to me, and it's been nerfed. So, you know, it's as far as the buffed items, well, you can imagine where the buffed items were. I would say all of your buffed items are going to be hanging out between D and C. Like, you probably had Goal Getter, D, Fluffy Tail D, and Slow Smoke C. I honestly don't think... Let's start with Fluffy Tail. I like Fluffy Tail. It's fun. I don't really think a 3-second cooldown on Fluffy Tail is like really a big difference maker to change this item from just being insanely situational and kind of whatever. Like, you can make some fun plays with it, some fun builds with it. We were messing around with it earlier on stream. We were having a good time with this item, but I don't really think you change much of the game with how Fluffy Tail works. There are some Pokemon that rip pretty well. Like, we had it on, you know, the classics. You can play it on Stealth Rock Crustle. You can play it on, we had it on Discharge Zeraora. We were trying it on Char. We were trying it on Ceruledge. You know, like, there are Pokemon you could definitely run this on, and it's fine, but it's not like, I don't know. It's just crazy situational. If you like playing with it, you probably find some good uses for it, but they're just better items. Goal Getter, on the other hand, I want to spend more time with this item. I do think 60 seconds on Goal Getter is actually pretty good. I don't think it's eject button good. I don't know if you can move it out of C tier. But I think there is a reality where this is actually maybe even closer to B. Like, I think it might be fine to run at this point. Every minute you score at a crazy fast rate, and it gives you kind of had this before, but it was really close. This gives you 2 opportunities to score right before the end of the match. You could score right at 2 minutes, and then you could score under a minute, or you could score at like a tricky time, like at 2:45, and then immediately be ready for a massive score at 2. You'll probably see some teams attempt to run this a little bit. I don't know if any NA teams will like stick their neck out and be the team that has Goal Getter on it, but honestly, like, a minute cooldown on it's pretty dang good. I like, cautiously, for me, this is C, and like, I do think there's a reality where this moves to B. Now, that doesn't mean that I believe your allies will be playing this at this level. I really don't think so. But I do think that you could get some really good plays with Goal Getter now. And it's just, it used to be 2 minutes, right? And now it's like, and then they cut it down, again. I actually think this is in a much better place. I'm going to leave it top of C tier here, but you could make an argument that it's probably B, and I wouldn't argue too much. X Attack I think is fine. Slow Smoke, the only thing with Slow Smoke is I just don't know too many Pokemon you'd want to run it on. That's the only problem. One of the big things, yeah, allies 200% will not be playing it well. One of the big things with Slow Smoke is that it lowers attack speed. So it lowers attack speed by 50% and move speed by 80%. The move speed is mainly what you see with it, and attackers are not super, like, auto attackers are not super relevant in the meta. So you just don't find a lot of use for it, you know? From the chat, Adam says X Attack with Energy Amp is insane on certain Pokemon. I agree. Like, I like running it on Ceruledge and stuff. But yeah, I feel like you're not going to see much Slow Smoke. So I feel like it's situational and it's meh. Like, you could run it. Yeah, it's like from the chat, it's a Comfey buff. Like, yeah, you could run it. Comfey obviously likes this. You might have a few supports or defenders that could try it. So there you go. Let's continue with the rest of our items here. Potion for me is either B or A. I think Potion's probably better than people give it credit for, but it's just so boring. That's like what I think. That's what I talk about with Potion. Like, I think it's kind of the definition of fine, but it's actually better than that. I just think no one wants to run it because it's such a boring item, you know? But it's a pretty big heal, and there are a lot of Pokemon that do pretty well with it. So I think, you could say B or A with it. I don't even know if we'll get really anything in the A tier. Maybe one thing, I guess. And then we have X Speed and Full Heal. X Speed and Full Heal are like, Full Heal is probably an S just because it is like mandatory, you know? There are just certain Pokemon that have to run it, and on those Pokemon, it's really good, you know? But the more and more I'm playing like other options instead of Full Heal on Pokemon, I'm enjoying it. They're just somewhere you go, if I fight against this enemy team and I do not have Full Heal, they will shut me down. I don't get to use my moves. Like there are just like there are a few Pokemon where you're like, if I like, what are some examples of Pokemon that need it? Like Zoroark and stuff like that. Like there are just some Pokemon where you're fighting. I feel like water or Shifu, it's pretty mandatory because anything that shuts you down long enough to not continue doing what you're doing is miserable. Rich says Dodrio needs full heal. I've actually been running Potion on Dodrio and I think it's pretty good. Zoroark, Garchomp I wouldn't agree with. I think Garchomp needs eject button for Dragon Combo. Maybe if you're not running Dragon Combo though. D-Knight, yeah, like Outrage D-Knight, it's like a very, very good one. So I do think you probably, like you could say it's maybe closer to A. On certain Pokemon though, it's like unbelievably good. I think, you know what? I do think X-Speed is like the definition of an A tier item. It's pretty much, it's good on everyone. It's good on everyone. It has a low enough cooldown that you'll be able to get away from things and use it pretty consistently. It's very useful. You get a really nice burst of speed. I feel like A tier is pretty fair. X-Speed's good, and it's good on a lot of Pokemon. Shedinja Doll is either C or B. Shedinja Doll is like pretty good every once in a while. And other than that, it's not very good. I think it's kind of bait. Like, people think it's better than it is. People will see fun tech with it. Like, we were just talking earlier in the stream about the Miraidon, eject, like, not eject button, excuse me, the Miraidon Electro Drift tech. And I do think, like, stuff like that's pretty cool, but it, like, almost tricks people into thinking it's good, you know? I think for a few Pokemon, it's all right. But I think like this tier, like the way I worded this is about how I feel about it. It's situational and it's kind of meh, you know. There are some really fun plays that you'll make with it every once in a while. You know, you'll diff them with the doll, but yeah, I just think oh, you should be able to get out of the doll by will. That's actually a fun idea. If you could do that, you might be able to make some more outplays with it, because people do just literally wait for you to come. Like, there's like, okay, I wonder when he's going to pop out of that. Oh, yeah, right now, because we know exactly how long it takes. And now we have the Goal Hacker. So here's what I think about the Goal Hacker. I don't like it. I think it's cool. The cooldown is insane. And for my way of playing this game, which is 95% solo, I don't like it. I think it's I would say in solo queue, I would put it D. It's really situational, kind of bad. It might be C. Maybe. It's still like a little high. Goal Hacker is the only battle item you can use for you and your allies. Other battle items affect you and your enemy. Yeah. I could see it C. That's as high as I could ever say it would go in uncoordinated play. Now, I do think, and it's the reason that the timer on it's so big, I actually do think that you could see coordinated teams make real use out of it. If you're playing with it and your team knows how to play with it and you have strategies built around it, you could couple Pokemon and it would be pretty dang good. I don't think it feels like an S tier item for me, but your strategy would kind of revolve around it. You could have multiple moments where you go, we're moving towards this goal, we're going to fight at it, we're gonna goal hack, I'm gonna use a shutdown unite move, and we'll take this goal. Like, I think in coordinated play, it's actually probably A tier. And I think in uncoordinated play, it's either D or really low C. Like, for players who are not playing in a coordinated fashion at all, I just don't think this item's that great. From the chat, supporter will have goal hack in a 5-stack. I could see that. Yeah. Can the effect of Goal Hacker stack? I don't believe so. I don't know if UniteDB has written down exactly how Goal Hacker affects. Oh, geez, it's like such a long thing of text. Let me read it to you all right now. because I actually haven't seen how it's worded. When used, the user tampers with a singular goal zone within range, and the item goes on cooldown. A 90-second cooldown, by the way. If the item is used on an ally goal zone, it doubles the shield provided, and it speeds up the healing rate to 0.5 seconds per heal tick, replacing any non-boosted shield with the boosted one, and it will immediately revert to a non-boosted shield value once the duration expires. If the item is used on an enemy goal zone, it will disable HP recovery and shields for the duration of the item. The item's effect lasts for 4 seconds, regardless of if it's used on an ally or enemy goal zone. It can be used to override the status of an enemy goal hacker. So you could counter an enemy goal hacker with a goal hacker of your own. Using multiple ally goal hackers on a single goal zone will only refresh the duration of the effect. The boost provided to an ally goal zone can be stacked with other boosts for non-goal hacker sources. So I'm trying to think what other boosts they're talking about. Obviously they're talking about Miraidon, I guess would be the other boost that you're really thinking of. So it could stack with Miraidon, you know? You shouldn't be able to aim it. There are no bases that close together. That's a good point. So I feel like competitive-wise, probably pretty good. In fact, I could see some strategies revolving around it. Solo, I think you're going to be so disappointed running it, honestly. I think you're going to be like... I think you're going to really be upset running this item solo, because I don't think anyone's going to work with you. I just don't. Like, my experience with it, it's been this. I would love to hear from everyone in the comments, though. What do you think? What do you think about these items? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? As always, everyone can have their own opinion. Just be cool with each other. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been Monday's Battle Item Tier List. We might have a balance patch coming soon, so I could imagine that next time I talk to you with a tier list, we'll be talking about some new things. Maybe not this week, maybe the week after. But all right, everybody, I love you, and I will see you all next time. We did it.